and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nativz stream. I am Sandbag. Joining me with only one other member, Zathdos. The good old days are back, sir. Just a duo.
Okay, I feel a bit rude saying good old days because we miss Lisa. Of course, we've got Heltic in the backlines, but yeah, it does kind of feel good, doesn't it? From the first days of the CWL, from now, basically being brung in to this Irish scene, it feels good to have us two back. And what a showing we had for the ICS. Something to do over the summer, some fun, some 2v2 tournaments. Maybe we have to try it ourselves.
Absolutely, right? Signups still available. You were able to make the trip over for that big LAN event, so something over the summer, something to keep going. Signups available. Some people specialists, some people, you're a league guy, right? Some
Yep.
have a little bit more wider variety. Your Valorant, your CS, you've got all of your FIFAs, Fortnite in there. Something for everybody. Make sure you get in touch with that link. But we're here for League today, sir.
Of
And with
course.
two, we have some news for this league, right? So you've got a little bit of information, some roster maneuvering.
Yes, so for everybody who doesn't know, Space is going to be not playing for today. We have a substitute in the ADK position, and it is going to be Goldenpenny. And I would be concerned, but I did my research, and this player seems kind of good, if I'm honest. Has already got himself around 2 years' experience in competitive League of Legends, has played in the Greek League, played in the LFL, even played in the Turkish League as well. Plenty of different places around, and when you see the champions on the screens, these are his most comfortable champions. And whenever I look at these, I think Hyper AD carry, we have that Jinx, we have that Kai'Sa. So I'm really excited to see if maybe we can get some more stuff going towards the bot lane now that we have Goldenpenny as the AD carry for this game.
Yep, things that are able to slot in, trying to really take over a game, trying to really run it over. You know, if we're not going to get a Skarner to carry us to the promised land, we got to look to another lane. Maybe Bot's the one to do it.
Exactly. I mean, Skarner's absolutely busted. If we get Skarner, please, guys, can we just grab it up as it will get nerfed in this current patch? Not too many changes towards it, so I do expect Skarner to be very high in priority. But remember, Goldenpenny, our AD carry to join us today. His probably one of his best champions is going to be the Ezreal. That's had a few buffs to scale better into the late game, so a lot of flexibility now on what AD carries we can pick.
Yep, giving yourself a little bit more in terms of options, a little bit more in terms of flexibility. Because, on one hand, the thing you run into with substitutes is chemistry, right? If you've been scrimming with one player, if you've been playing on stage with a player, you get kind of used to expectations. Everyone's got their own style, everyone's got their own niche, so there can be some kind of teething issues, but it is an X factor, right? Sometimes even just you've played yourself on some kind of semi-pro, a new player can also be a bit of a honeymoon phase, right? Where then the team culture changes a little bit because it's like, okay, a new thing, we got to go back to the ground zero and build up. Sometimes ends up working out, so we're gonna have to see how it pans out.
Yeah, if it works, it really works. But if it doesn't, you can go crash and burn it down, which I'm really concerned about with this Nativz roster. Remember, we have 2 wins, but 4 losses. So this really needs to work now. Otherwise, we are in desperation mode to try and get ourselves off to those playoff finals. So I remember when we talked to one of the players in the last interview, he said, we just have to win every single game from now on. And if we lose one, we're going to look really rough. So a lot riding onto this game. Remember, we will be going against DMG, a team that is very strong in their current performance, going 4-2 in the regular split. And today, it's going to be hard, but this is the most I've believed in Nativz since that first week.
Yeah, 2-4 versus 4-2, right? It is, as you said, uphill battle. It is going to be some stiff competition, but new roster, new players, this is the pressure on. So as we slot on into Champion Select, what are the tools that we're going to be working with to try and take down DMG?
Well, hopefully trying to get a comfortable AD carry for our new player coming in, just to make sure that he doesn't feel uncomfortable coming into a brand new roster. But we'll be banning away the center, making sure there's no center time pinch, center cho'gath or anything, so then we can have a comfortable 1v1 lane, as we will be banning away the Cassante as well. We know that Bucci is somebody who loves to pick this up, but we haven't really targeted any lanes. It feels like we're picking specific champions, which the enemy team really likes.
first rotation, the classic knock down those OP picks. You're just kind of, picking and choosing what you think you got to really take off the top, and then later on that pinch. So there's a Scorpion.
Yeah,
Nerfed on this patch. Nerfed on this patch. I will give the asterisk, but they have been talking about wanting to get it for a while, and I'm such a fan of the champ, man. I'm gonna hype it. Okay, I promise until he pops up, I will leave the Scorpion talk.
No, but you kept saying, like, Captain Flowers is one of your favorite people. Of course, he loves the Scorpion as well. So I feel like everything is coming around that champion is everything you love. As the last ban for DMG is going to be that Talia. It does actually open up that Tristana pick to be amazing. As Talia's the main counter towards her. She put down the rocks. Me, Tristana has a lot harder time to try and jump into you. First pick coming through from Painful will give us priority towards the mid lane, as Bucci picking up the Corki, slightly nerfed in the early game damage wise, but still pretty good in the late game, and going to pair it with the Rel. So Nativz now, hopefully they can finally pick up that Skarner and pick up either maybe a Braum support, a Nautilus as well, Nautilus not as well, but a Braum support could look really nice in this comp.
Right, something to try and absorb the spam. And he's here. Nerfed.
You're so happy.
Nerfed, yes, but still present. Theoloris from interview 1 said, I'm a bit of a Skarner OTP. I want to play it. Pairing it up. Typically you see a bit more of these AP jungles alongside the Tristana, so how do you feel about going so CC heavy in this first rotation?
Well, I don't actually hate it because of Sejuani and Skarner pairing up together. The amount of CC, yes, they have a Corki you can get through this front line when they get LDR, but the rest of the team doesn't have the damage for it, and if they pick up the Cho'Gath, or sorry, pick up the Gragas in the top lane, it's not really going to do much into the Skarner. Yes, it will negate it early on, but Skarner will be this massive tank as the second rotation phase has come through, and they're putting a lot of pressure on their AD carry if they pick up 2 tanks, as they need somebody who deals high damage like the Jinx we talked about before. Ezreal can get paired as well, and this is where we see DMG, and I expect Nativz as well, to have constant AD bans which can try and get through these front lines.
Yep, some of these hyper carries. Although, hyper carries, yes, but they need to be able to survive the onslaught. Rel, Gragas, Sejuani, you've got the Skarner as well. If you want to just sit there and, be a Kog'Maw or something and just go ballistic, you gotta keep them alive. DPS is 0 from a gray screen.
Yeah. 100%. DMG actually make quite good bans here, especially with that Kai'Sa that got taken away, because there's not that much AP damage threat on this Nativz roster, and Kai'Sa, of course, being more flexible, can go this AP variant, now means maybe they have to pick an AP AD carry, and we know that Goldenpenny isn't the strongest on these champions, so it's kind of put Nativz in a little bit of a sore spot on if they have less AP and pick up a hyper carry, that just allows maybe DMG to pick up a Malphite, pick up a Sion, who can just build full tank and make it where they can't really do much against it. As DMG's second AD carry going to come through here, I do expect somebody that can get through these big tanks. Otherwise, their team fighting may look great early on, but it's going to be very difficult to get through them, especially if you pick up something like MF.
Yeah, MF I didn't highlight. It was the move speed buff right on this patch. It was Strut that I believe got tapped up, but I just didn't even hover it because are you killing Skarner Sedge with a bullet time?
Nope. No way. Yeah, exactly. Nowhere near going to do this, as Lydia will get locked in from DMG. Absolutely love this pickup. Does very well into these tanks as the stacking movement speed comes to a point where maybe you can kind of CC her, but her items give her so much HP. Gives her that comfortability, as Goldenpenny will lock in that Ezreal. It does actually combo very well with something like a Leona if they want to go for something that is still tanky for the front line, but gives that CC availability to match up with that Sejuani. And with this hover coming out on this Pantheon, that pairs amazingly well with Painful, mostly because of that Sejuani, can combo super well together. But instead, yeah, go for the basic. Pick up the Leona, don't have fun.
No, we're only allowed one pick per draft.
And that's Skarner.
We had the Zed on the previous week. We had the Skarner in this one. We weren't allowed another. Yes, buffed. It's going to be Leona, and I will say you're the support main. You're the authority in this situation. How much fun is it playing Leona into a Janna if this ends up being considered?
I mean, of course, it can't be considered because of the Rel that they picked up and will be the supports that can't go jungle. Don't ever pick in Leona or any tank engage into a jar. It's just painful. It's just absolutely painful. Just because you ever try and go in and then you just get monsooned away, or they have something like a tornado to stop you. Leona's actually probably the best tank engage support against her, or maybe a Nautilus. Just because of that solar flare, you have the possibility of outplaying her. She doesn't have that ultimate available, but still, with the Jinx getting locked in for DMG, does give themselves a little bit more damage in these team fights. So now it really comes down to Nativz. They have a lot more tankiness in their roster, but do they have enough damage to burst out DMG? Well, DMG, now they have damage in the team fights, but they're not as tanky and can get bursted out easily by Tristana or by the Zedriel poke.
Also worth noting, when you're talking about damage, it's damage spreads, right? Double marksman, Ezreal, Tristana. There's not going to be any Taliyahs or Karthuses running around trying to put some threat, so the big man, who we kind of glossed over over the course of the draft, can start speccing into some armor quite comfortably.
Yeah, 100%. So DMG don't have any AP threats to worry about. The closest thing you have is Sejuani, maybe a Skarner poke with his Q. But yeah, there's nothing really there. So they can opt to go for this full armor route. So even if they don't have as much upfront tankiness as the Nativz roster have with 3 of the big tanks, they still are going to feel pretty good having armor on their side. But this game is going to be tough. But still, I think Nativz can do it.
Right? So this is where we get a moment to kind of gather. You were talking, it feels like maybe a bit more serious. We've already found our way through the weeks at what feels like a wild pace, right? We're week 4, and it feels like we only just started. So how do we go about navigating, especially this early game? What's the look here for this native side to try and get something back?
I really think you could look for this bot lane 3 versus 3 or for the mid 2 versus 2. This is where you'll start feeling really comfortable with that Sejuani, because we talked about the combo of Leona and Sejuani. The amount of CC are going to be applied by those two, especially with supported Sejuani being a melee tank. I feel like that's the place you need to look for. You need to find these early game advantages, but you still can scale incredibly well. And that's one thing I like about this comp compared to the other ones, is they have an out. If everything starts going a little bit awry, they can stay more defensive and just try and scale into the game.
No longer painted into a corner. Week 4 on the cards here in the NLC. Nativz looking to pull something together, gather some steam, head on in with their new member. And we've got ourselves a stack, sir.
I absolutely love the stacks. I love doing things like this. With having 2 melee people with Hybradge, they can easily get on top of someone. And if they do, there's no way they are escaping. But Lilia, seeming like she does know what she's doing, going for a simple 5-point, making sure that if anybody walks in, they walk out, as they are just going in here to place a ward onto the enemy Raptor, trying to make sure they know exactly where Lilia is. Because if they don't put Lilia down and allow her to scale into this game, 2 or 3 items, she's going to be an absolute monster in these team fights.
Absolutely. That credit to them. Normally when you say, Lily is just going to go running amok, point and click CC. Such an important thing to have here, so Baul, if it is ever a misstep, can look to really lock down this incredibly evasive member.
Yeah, it's the best way to try and counter anyone. Same with maybe something like a Jungle Yi. Just CC them up so they don't have any damage to their name. As Sejuani will be starting towards the top side, going probably for a full camp clear to get herself ready for this bot lane gank, while Lily is starting towards the top side, making sure to support her AD carry and her support Snabby, as I do expect kind of a quiet early game from both of these teams. Maybe there could be things going here and there, but 2 very scaling comps.
Yep, scaling comps, and also they've got outs a lot of times, right? If you just kind of run down this list, there is exactly 1 member on this screen that doesn't have a mobility tool, right, in these lanes.
Yeah.
It's Namex. Everybody else has some sort of, shift or Valk or rocket jump or something of that. As in the mid lane, there's going to be a huge fist fight. Wait for the camera to flick over. I see double digits, and yet only 1 flash burn.
Yeah, Tristana jumping in at that level 2 advantage, trying to find the kill onto Skate Rock. And interestingly enough, Tristana may have actually died if they didn't make the changes onto Corki to make him weaker in the early game. So it does seem like Painful has been reading those patch notes and it will be fine in towards this mid lane. Still has that healing pot available and just used it. So it's going to be slightly better off in this lane. As Painful with this priority will allow Sejuani if she wants to try and invade the enemy jungle, but instead she will just opt for that 6 camp clear. Head towards the top side, make sure everything's okay. So Theoloris happily in that top side as is Skarn herself.
Guaranteed return on investment here, right? And you talked about has the push, however, a look from the level 2 support on a ward though, Painful. Hovers the right side, great vision to avoid that flash being burned.
Yeah, that's like the magical middle part of Vision where whenever they try and go for an invade or they try to look towards mid lane, there's just no way for Snabby to find that look. The only opportunity that you could have done is maybe jumping over that Dragon Pit and then go for the gank that way, because the warder wouldn't have spoiled you out. But Nativz, with priority towards the bot lane, is going to be trying to crash this wave in, but it is very difficult as their support, or sorry, their jungle is towards the top side, so have to be very cautious about this, especially with the enemy jungler nearby.
Enemy jungler nearby, but once again, credit to them, vision control, they have the awareness, but can they just answer it?
Yeah, you see how far back they're trying to hold. Fortunately, there is only a 1 minion advantage for DMG in that wave, so it isn't going to be frozen and it will slow push back to them. So Goldenpenny finding a good time to find a reset, giving the owner an opportunity to look for a gank mid, as there might be one here.
No flash here. The Valk is used. Arctic Assault forwards, waiting for that passive stack, and it will connect, but tanking 2 tower shots. Rocket jump forwards. Flash short hop. The tower gets the avenge. Unfortunately, not able to escape it. Painful will go 1 for 1.
Yeah, but still first blood available, no teleport for Skate Rock, so he will lose this whole wave underneath the tower as Baul will try to push this in as fast as possible. And I like the look from Nativz. It was a good little play going towards the mid lane. It's kind of sad that they didn't find the kill, but you're going to see this lot of Hybradge and Baul roaming towards mid lane, trying to see if they can get anything with their Tristana in the mid lane.
Yep, making sure to continue surging forwards, right? We have late game sustain, but when you have the ability to try and put the enemy behind, always a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, as Hybro or Bitsy in towards the enemy jungle, trying to get as much vision, as much gold in towards his pocket. Does have a 300 gold lead, with Sejuani trying to look for a gank towards the bot lane and getting themselves a kill towards the mid lane as well. Of course, that gives a lot more time for Bitsy to farm up, as Lilia compared to Sejuani is so much quicker at trying to clear these camps.
Yeah, clear speed, not even close, so if you're ever trying to make a move on the map, you will be giving up quite a bit of time, more than typical here. Is Snobby just poking around, but sees Nativz 3 men strong, no way to contest Lily on the other side.
Yeah, you just politely just look at them and just say, hey, okay, this is your dragon, that's fine, as the Void Grubs will be spawning any second time. So Nativz with a small advantage towards bot lane, and this is exactly what you want. If you have a team that scales well into the late game and you're very strong in towards the bot lane with the combo of Hybradge and Baul, you can just abuse that by picking up these early dragons. So maybe that could be the win con for Nativz if they want to play along that side.
Also worth drawing your attention to, Flash for Explosive Cask was traded. So this famed Skarner here coming out on the worst end, unfortunately, for the native squad.
Yeah, but Hybradge, mid lane.
Trying to find a look. Still has Valk, no flash yet. It's a long distance to cover, so Skate will just hold his nerve and walk to safety.
Yeah, top.
He up against it, body slam away, waiting for the grass proc. He's got a Q in. It is flashed away from Gragas, losing one of his own.
Yeah, but look, Lily is towards the top side. They could go for a dive and Gragas pushes this in. This way, Theoloris is making it as fast as possible to find that reset, as the rocket will come through. We'll find nobody here towards the top lane. The TP will only just come through. Theoloris, you said he was having some difficulty. Seems like he's bouncing right back.
Yeah, he rights the ship immediately. Your ult for my flash, my ult for your flash. The handshake of the top laners is complete.
Yeah, going to be completely okay. As the teleport was used already by the Gragas, so he will be a little bit slow on being able to pick up this wave, but still, cannon wave going to make it very good for him. The next major objective isn't up for another 3 minutes 30, unless they want to try and fight for these Void Grubs. So I do expect maybe a play towards bot lane soon, as level 6 is very close for Hybradge, and once that is going to be online, I do expect maybe a gank towards the mid lane still, as Skaterot does have his flash available now.
Flash is up, and yeah, like you said, snap engage is the way you want to do this. Don't let them use mobility tools. Don't let them able to kind of ball it out and extend it. So 6 absolutely required. Will it be a look here? Does Ezreal have the juice is the question. Do you reckon?
Well, I feel like Ezreal definitely has the juice if they can get him CC'd enough. And the reason the combo in the bot lane is so lovely with that Leona is Leona has a boatload to CC, has the ultimate, has of course the EQ available, queues up like every 4 or 5 seconds at level 9 rank. So Goldenpenny, if he ever doesn't feel like, you know, missing everything, you always have Baul there to help you make sure you hit every Mystic shot.
Doesn't feel like missing everything. Is that something that ADs do? Do they just feel like, I'm not feeling this one, I'll just throw this one into the sun?
Look, man, I've been playing a lot of solo queue recently. I just got myself back to Masters. I'm having a good time. And then some of these AD carries have the simplest thing to do. All they have to do is, you know, hit in their general direction and it will hit because they're CC'd up. And I see Ezreal queues going backwards, going sideways, somehow hitting the enemy top laner instead of their AD carry. It's absolutely painful in solo queue. Luckily, though, Goldenpenny, a little bit better than my solo queue teammates, you know, haven't been anywhere near challengers. So I have a bit of belief that he can hit his queues.
Yeah, the faith should definitely be there. He's been doing a good job so far. Unfortunately, the queues are connecting on the minions. There's been a whole lot of that going on this game.
I mean, have you seen his CS? It's not doing too bad. It is going to be a 5 above the enemy AD carry of Namex. So quite comfortable hitting those Qs onto, you know, the minions. As we will see Sejuani towards the top lane. Could actually find a position not spotted out by the enemy as Theoloris.
Trying to find a look here. The Impale knocking him back with the ultimate, but the CC will stack on up. That is Hybradge collecting the kill for his top laner.
Yeah, that's really smartly played by them. Going around the enemy jungle just before Lilia was about to see it. There was only about a 2 or 3 second window to do that. They were able to find it, able to dodge out that ward. And now that kill over towards that Sejuani will help them in that bot lane 3 versus 3. And more importantly, will help the Theoloris now with that Spectral Skull. Top lane is going to feel a whole lot more comfortable, especially with Bucci going for that more tank-oriented Gragas.
Tank-oriented Gragas and double AP topside. Even if they want to try and pull this Lilia up there, he's got the tools to try and deal with it and just kind of shrug it off for the time being.
Yeah, because that's the question. Yes, you have a lot of base damage as a Sejuani and Skarner, but there does actually come a limit to it. The only champion who can just build full tank and still deal buttloads of damage is going to be that Cassante. So, of course, Nativz going for the reset down towards the bot side as well. Actually opted to swap themselves around, wanting to pick up the Void Grubs and get some tower plates up top lane, instead of actually contesting this bot lane dragon, which I'm very interested about, because I think it would have been a good idea to try and move down instantly, get yourself the second dragon, and just give up the Void Grubs instead.
Yep, could have been that, although I feel like their read is, we can do both. We can go grab these grubs and just hustle on bot lane. You see Lilia converging now, but Natos will be in position to contest at bare minimum.
Yeah, Goldenpenny up towards the top side will mean it will be a 4 versus 4 if they want to go for this. As actually, he just pushed up straight top lane and will try and go down here, putting DMG on the timer, where if they want this dragon, they have to get it now.
This is where we have the lean on in. Skarner arrives through the walls. 3k is the dragon HP. Released so far, waiting for the patience to evaporate, and there we go. Shoving them off. Natives get grubs for nada.
Yeah, but Natives are on the timer themselves now. They need to finish off this dragon fast, as in the top lane, Gragas is getting himself tower plates and is uncontested by the rest of the team. But this is such a different look for them. We were saying that they weren't doing the basics in week 1, week 2, and week 3, but they're slowly getting more as Jing.
Oh no! Right in the middle of the praise. Super Mega Death Rocket picks it up and equalizes the Drakes.
Like, they do such an amazing play, and then that happens.
Might have to hold it here as the Rel is getting knocked away with a buster shot. Great movement from Painful as the Corki flashes under. Last tower shot is heated, but not hot enough.
Yes.
The Ezreal ult for the snipe, backstep by Corki. Hybradge looks to avenge. Ultimate flies out, ultimate goes wide, flashing on top of him, the Valk, the stun. Do they have the damage? One more auto into E. They get it with the flail, but will pay for it in blood. Lilia is going to be playing Ring Around the Rosie with the boar, picking that one up, and 3-3 we go.
Nativz is so painful sometimes because you have so many things to say, oh my god, you've done amazing, and then Jinx Rocket ruins everything. It's a bit like Arcane if you haven't seen, you know, the first season.
Whoa. Spoilers.
Also, everybody must have seen Arcane at this point. If you're a League fan and you're watching this, no way you haven't watched it.
With the hype of Season 2, we can't just go blowing away the plot here. You know, there might have been some sort of Jinx Rocket at some point in Arcane Season 1. Allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it was on cooldown for the whole season, just got used at the end. I think it's still off, might be off cooldown for Season 2, we'll have to see.
Power shots left, right, and center, by the way. Conor still gets Gragas' flash up there, and his health and mana total about 100 in sum here. Snabi looks to try and turn this level 7 versus level 10 with reinforcements inbound. Another Q connect, Shattering Strike, flashing it into the wall, and he gets the 2v1. Here comes the cavalry as another stun lands. Lily en route, flashing forwards, lilting Lullaby onto a pair. Watch out, Eve, they come down swinging. Baul is not going to be able to find the E, making that a trade of tops once more. 4-4 we go.
And that's actually going to start becoming an issue for Nativz. 2 kills over to this Lilia. Had that first item available, that Liandry's Torment. And you can see the issue with having 3 tanks. If you don't have Ezreal, if you don't have Painful, you don't have that damage to get through Bitsy unless you use everything on him. So this is why this Lilia pick feels so amazing, even though it scales even better the longer the game goes, as the Void or the Rift Herald will be going over to Nativz. To expect it to most likely get placed towards this mid lane, try and open up the map a bit more, as both of these teams done a lot of damage to these towers, but none have fallen so far.
Yep, just chipped and chunked so far here, as we do have just a ton of rocket jumping away on the minimap. Painful once out a dodge here, and 15 minutes in, we can separate these teams by not Drakes, not Grubs, not kills, 100 gold.
Exactly, but guess who's winning that? Nativz is winning that. 100 extra gold, 300 gold now. I feel like I'm doing some betting at this point, as Nativz with the smallest lead makes you feel good and has absolutely evaporated as they got the bot lane tower, but is going to get counteracted by Nativz towards the mid lane, but do need to be careful.
First brick was buffed here as they find Baul. Aftershock plus W's a lot of resists, but the shred is going to hurt all the same. Throwing out the exhaust. Gragas cask just for a bit of that was the psychological ult. Because that
exactly.
wasn't a DPS ult.
Yeah, like I said, you can't hit those Ezreal Qs, you can't hit those ultimates from Gragas. As mid lane, DMG have the numbers advantage. We'll just walk up here, try and get as much chunk as possible, as Sejuani trying to help out by tanking up this tower. And the big thing was really good for Nativz. They got this mid lane tower, and because DMG forced everything onto Nativz afterwards, they completely left this Rift Herald to get another charge in towards the mid lane. So Nativz pretty happy with this. It's Dragon in 50 seconds, so I do expect Nativz to go for a reset pretty soon on this Ezreal to get themselves ready for this next Drake, as first items have been completed by everybody except for this Leona.
Happy days. So far, the farming has come to an end and the PvP begins to build. You had a point right before that whole fiesta of top lane where it was doing all the right steps and then something going wrong. It feels like this game, the steps are coming together and the answers are there, not just getting run ragged around the map as can sometimes happen.
Yeah, and I feel like this has to really come down to the coaching staff that we got to talk to the other day, of how the ideas were just wrong that they were thinking about at the start of the season, but now that they've had longer time together, they've been able to really figure out what comps they want to do and figure out how they want to play. This is why we see they're perfectly ready for this objective, don't get the ultimate out of Bucci, and they're already in position compared to DMG, who feels like they might want to give this up, as Lilia will be towards that top side instead.
mid pressure acquired. Heads up play by the Gragas even before Impale got cast. Just saying, hang on a second. Throw this ultimate out, get him out of here, trading out those 2 spells. But now he's going to be on wave clear duty, while second Drake of the game going to be whittled down.
Yeah, first tower will be taken from DMG towards that top side. We'll be looking for a little bit more if they want to. Skarner trying his best to try and hold everything off as Gragas.
Seed up by the E and the R. They have the lockdown. Uchi oversteps and Nativz jump on the opportunity.
Yeah, mistake from him means that this bot lane tower is going to fall as Nativz up towards the top side. Bit of poke damage, but DMG have got 2 towers, have got full control of this top side and can maybe even look for this top lane tower if they want to.
Ultimate committed from the Lilia. The stun and the R is going to get the flash out of this Scorpion to go underneath the structure, taking the tower shots. They will exit cleanly. Top laner, once again for top laner in the long play, but Painful looking to put the hurt on this tower.
Yeah, if he has the bomb available, could have finished off that tower. But the TP coming out from Bucci and the roam down from Skaterot means that they can't finish off this tower. And that's a huge thing for DMG, as the gold lead is completely the same. The only major benefit the Natives have is those 2 dragons. And they could have been on sole point now if certain rocket didn't hit the dragon.
Yep, that one is definitely gonna be wanted back here by Hybradge, but it's not the end of the world, as you said. Parity across the board in pretty much every factor means where do we look to crack it open? What is the window to really smash this down? With the ultimate, to cancel the recalls, the tempo are always incredible.
Yeah, tempo advantage. You saw Nativz wanted to go in, get ready for this Baron by warding up, but because of the tempo lost by Goldenpenny with that Jinx Rocket, it does mean that they can't go in just yet and have to wait yet again for him to come through. And this is one thing that you love to see from these teams, is these very small advantages and trying to make use of them as Skaterot. Do they know he's here?
Have the Valk away and chooses to use it. Are connecting. Lilia reinforces. Painful's already used the hot buster shot forwards. Do they have the exit just in time as the Lilia gives chase? Flash outside of that Q sweep. Painful taking no chances. Losing flash for flash jungle for mid.
Yeah, they had no idea that he was in that bush. Then they went for their play thinking that he was all on his own. But it just felt a little bit sloppy from Nativz. You know that the enemy team has just gone for a reset and most likely will be up towards this top lane. So, of course, going to get the flash from Painful, going to lose a lot of the pressure towards the Baron as it's just spawning. As DMG now can just walk into the enemy jungle if they choose to, place their wards down themselves and get ready to have control of this Baron.
Control of the Baron leading the way the red team. Worth pointing out at this point in time, the member of Nativz with over 10 CS per minute does not have a gold lead. Goldenpenny has been Chovy for the guts of 20 minutes and is still down 600 gold.
My question is, where's the coal at this point? Like, just pick it up. If you're going to get yourself the 300 CS, as 2 items to its name, same with the Jinx is very strong as they have the Mana Moon available and get themselves the Trinity Force as well. If they ever want to go for a fight playing around Goldenpenny or Painful, it can really help them out, especially with how long this game goes for. Goldenpenny is sort of playing a champion where, yes, it can deal damage in these team fights, but after LDR comes through, Jinx is really going to be pumping out that damage compared.
I feel like the 21-minute call is pretty illegal, though.
No, yeah, completely. You are right, but like, if you have 230 CS, how much different is 330?
That is fair, right? Gold is gold at the end of the day here as the dance continues. Wards cleared, wards placed. Wards cleared, wards placed. It might seem like a lull, but this is the moment that they can jump on it here. They elect not to pull the trigger, look for someone more valuable here. Lilia's able to step away, and the Impale just a hair too low means Lilia can just dance on out.
I actually really love that play to go for that because they know that they haven't been swatted out because they would have had a ward over by Snabby. So instead of going for a low priority champion, they actually instead go towards the enemy jungle. And if they found that kill, that would have been Barry for Native, would have been able to get that third dragon as well. But now, two major ultimates down, or sorry, one major ultimate of Theoloris isn't going to be up for this next dragon. So now that Natives, with that play not working, it's going to be very difficult to go for this dragon.
Absolutely. The trigger discipline, right? That's the phrase that you bring to the shooters where you have an opportunity and you look to double down on it. Fortunately, just a little bit too fast, and so it will be red team in control of the river and forcing your way in, if at all.
Yeah, Lilia only having 1.5 items to their name, of course, going for 2 parts of an item with that Seeker's Arm Guard is going to have as much damage as you would expect for this point of the game. As now Natives have to decide, do they want to contest this dragon? But it just feels too late for this, so it looks like they will give this up instead.
Mighted steadily here by this Lilia once again. 3 grubs, 2 kills, or sorry, 5 kills, 2 drakes, gold close, 3 towers even. You can't separate these squads.
Yeah, they feel like the exact same team, just with different logos at the top, as we have wards around here that we need to clear out from the Natives roster, as they're trying to play around this Baron by allowing their enemy team to not know where it is and find that pick off, but they still just haven't found the pick they have been looking for, as even on their side lanes, they haven't really got anybody to give them that side lane threat, as the closest thing you have is to Tristana, but once Tristana goes down towards the bot lane, she can easily get picked off by either the Gragas or that Corki.
Vulnerable position over towards that side, so especially with no flash, you're not looking to try and put your life in danger. So back to the clump up, we see 4 members hold hands and begin the vision dance once again.
Yeah, Snabby's like a one-man army with his vision ward, trying his best to go against everybody on Natives, which is fighting for the vision, as DMG will be gaining control towards the mid lane and can finally walk in yet again to try and stop this Baron, as only if one kill goes over to either of these two teams. Both of them have a double AD carry type comp, one with a Lilia as well, so they really can burst out these, or burst out the Baron very quickly, so they need to be very careful on the way they're playing. This is why you don't see anything majorly coming through yet.
Whoever blinks first, right? You talked about Snabby being a one-man army. If it gets a little bit too big for the boots, that can be the pick to really start things rolling. So, again, respect. It's the ebb and the flow as per.
Yeah, as yet again, waves coming back, waves coming forth. It's the ebb and flow like talked about, as we do see Lilia in this jungle.
Vision not in time. The auto doesn't go off. That was exactly the setup we were looking for. We almost had our moment.
Yeah, felt really close in that. And this is the tough part, because Natives keep doing the right thing on pushing out these waves, trying to gain control and trying to find these picks, but everything just isn't working out. They haven't been able to find it just yet. And I'm still very curious if buying that coal would have been useful, as we only have 50 CS left until that 330.
That being said, it would have been an item slot. That would have been down a whole longsword.
Oh, wow. 10 damage down at this part of the game. Unbelievable. I feel like that's life and death, especially when you've had 0 kill participation in this game.
Think of how much easier the last hits are with 10 extra AD, though. Like,
I
have a hard bargain.
Guys, remember, he's a challenger. I feel like he can, CS without that extra 10 over the 100 he probably already has.
Maybe. We'll have to send him a message after the game and say, hey, where was the 21-minute call? And then get blocked, I feel. I fear he will not enjoy the suggestion of the 21-minute call.
I mean, if we ever get him on the cast for an interview, I'll make sure to ask him. I'll actually break it down fully to make sure that he knows the exact point he could have brought this, as LDR is going to be completed by DMG's AD carry name X, meaning that they're going to be very strong in these fights if DMG wants to take it. And Natives are now in a hard position where if they want to go for this front-to-back team fight, they need to be very sure that they can get onto this backline quickly. Otherwise, in these long fights, I don't think Natives are going to be winning it until they get that LDR finish on their Tristana or onto Goldenpenny.
Yeah, the classic double marksman situation. You are hitting, that's fantastic, but who? Is it Leona or is it Ezreal? That is the big determining factor here, and you've been well experienced when it comes to your regions. You know, keeping up with your videos, your.
We're watching LCK. If that's the question, we're watching LCK.
You're stealing my punchline here. Have you? Do you remember the good old days where we had the vision trinket on the jungle item?
Yep.
That's what
of
we're
course.
watching.
I feel like
36 seconds until I'm spared from this. I'm a play-by-play. Me no good. Me just talk fast. I want some blood, sir. Let's get this going.
Yeah, exactly. So with Dragon Sport in the next 20 seconds, Nativz need to get either onto the Jinx, Lilia, or Corki at the start of this fight. 5 members.
King crash down onto fellow support, 2-man Magnustorm, but it's just the tanks, Corki and Ezreal on the left-hand side. The AoE goes through for 2, flashing on in. The first one to go is the Jinx. The DPS reigns in, Tristana free firing. It's up to Bucci to try and shut him down. Gaterot pushes back, gets another one of the top laner. Hybradge escaping on a sliver. Penny is down and Corki is going mental here. Double kill for Bitsy. Getting the cleanup with this jungle. Pushing them back into a 3-kill versus 2.
Yeah, Lilia and Jinx just pumping out so much damage, having 2.5 and 3 items to their name. DMG can't pick up the dragon, instead going for this Baron instead, as there's nothing that Nativz could do about it. And the big difficult thing about that fight was they were in such a small choke. There was no way that they could dodge these abilities, especially with Ezreal, who had to actually arcane shift back into that Raptor camp, so they couldn't constantly deal damage in that fight, and it was just slightly disjointed. So DMG picking up the win in that team fight, picking up the Baron, and now picking up control of this game.
We were wanting blood to flow, just not the way that it did. Trading out the Baron for Drake means that this is sole point secured for Nativz, but DMG has the reins at field.
Can we go back to the LCK moments where we're not fighting? I felt a lot better back then because the gold lead was completely even, and now DMG has full control of this bot side, pushing in mid, pushing in bot lane, as they will be going for this 4-1 setup. And their control, or their way of being able to take these towers, is going to be so easy with this Jinx. They just try and make sure that there's a front line for her, and she could just start shredding through them.
This Jinx, who I may draw your attention to, 328 in 30 minutes. There's 10 CS per minute bar, and there's whatever is happening here as they look to jump on top of the Jinx, and exploded she is! We compliment, and the curse reigns true. Namex, shut down.
Okay, so let's try this. DMG, you're the most incredible team ever. We'll see if that has anything to do with the game later. But no, really well played by Nativz, and just negligence from the DMG side, as they didn't set up properly for this. They wanted to gain vision, wanted to gain control slowly, as Hybradge didn't have the ultimate available. And because they didn't set up properly, it just allows Nativz to find picks like this.
It lands, but Bitsy's so fast. Even just walking back in for the slap to get out of here. This wave's mine.
I mean, look at it. Already got about 1/5 that HP bar down with only 1 Q on Lilia. She's really starting to pack a punch, as those 3 items will come through. Especially with that Rylai's Crystal Scepter sliding down the enemies, allowing you to get more of an outplay potential. And also with Giant Belts being a component of that, makes it even more tankier in this game.
Meanwhile,
you're top lane, main.
Yep. I'm a tank enjoyer. Real fun early on. Real fun to team fight in. Not known for the high intensity solo killing at the 30-minute mark.
I mean, all I was imagining because of you is just an Ornn there, and it would have been the exact same thing.
At least with Ornn, you get the funny bonk. You know, the brittle proc actually hurts a tank because it's max damage. And then you go back to slapping each other around here. Is the big group up. DMG want this bot T2 and are willing to commit everybody they got.
Yep, teleporter available for Bucci, and now with having 3 members with this Jinx, it could be a lot harder to get on top of her. But Nativz, I feel like they can maybe go for the engage here if they can, especially the ultimate available onto Baul.
And then Minion, maybe the last auto, one more shot, and the Win-Yun picks up the objective that they came for.
Yep, so now DMG just trying to make sure to keep vision towards the bot side. Dragon is going to be in 2 minutes, so we're going to go back to the LCK moment, most likely until then. But DMG's whole plan is just try and choke out Nativz. Make sure that they don't have any possibility of finding the flank or finding the pick on the side as Baul, yet again, trying to look for side bot lane, but does finally have that vision to spot this out and won't get ganked.
I also will say choking them out is a very strong term. This is not a, I have fallen off a cliff, I am Pantheon Renekton or something. There's plenty of DPS here available. They will chase the Lilia out from their terrain, and Bucci just gonna hustle on out of there. Gets the E off, stunned up a second time though as they jump onto the big man. Gragas is forced to flash away, ulting as well. Big tools a minute before Drake.
Yeah, but not being able to find that kill is just too tanky on this Gragas pick. As yes, you do have an Ezreal, yes, you do have a Tristana, but they take time. You need to put them out beforehand, especially with this Ezreal. And once you go for these big bursts, it's not really what you want. This is something you'd want a Tristana instead.
Well, painful and Corky flashing away from the Valkyrie. That one matters. Painful picking up his opposite number. 50 seconds. Skate Rot will be dead for the start of the Drake spot.
Yeah, only for 3 seconds, there's a possibility for DMG to use the teleport on Skate Rot and still get themselves a 5 versus 5. But look at the amount of ultimates that are down from this Nativz roster. Hybradge will have it up and so will Baul, but Painful and Goldenpenny not having those ultimates available. So we'll have to see if that is going to affect anything in this big major team fight coming up for the Dragon. As Nativz, they pick this up, that is going to be Soul, especially being Ocean Soul for this team, something that would be lovely to have.
It's also painful no flash. Skaterot had saved his own here as the Skarner's going to look on forwards. Lily is in a great spot. They just hit frontline so far. Goldenpenny chipping in so wherever he can. Skarner gets an impale backwards. Tank v tank, but here comes the rocket. Jinx is about to go excited. Rocket forwards. Over the wall she goes. Goldenpenny is asleep with a lullaby and knocked down by Lilia. Namex is able to team up with the jungle. They chase down the bug, and 4 Nativz bodies hit the ground.
Yeah, Nativz wanted to try and find the fight because it was a 4 versus 5, but the amount of space that Bucci and the support of Snabby was able to make, they just couldn't get onto Jinx, couldn't get onto the Lilia. So 3-5 of that whole fight allows them to win that 4 versus 5, pick up the inhibitor as well, and 20 seconds down, I feel this is the game.
Take the full damage away. Jinx is going to be able to get excited. Double marksman plus the incumbent jungler means that DMG get it done.
And that's a rough one for Nativz. They were so close. So many different small things that made it where they did win this game. And I keep going back to that mid lane when we almost found the pick onto Lilia where we could have got the Baron afterwards. But of course, not finding that engage, not working out the way we wanted to. And that happened 2 or 3 times. And then by the end of it, their team outscaled us. That Lilia becoming an absolute monster. We lost the game.
Yep, Lilia continues to get going. It also saw what happens when Gragas is able to buy time, right? Where we've got a pick, and then that pick takes 15 minutes to bring down, and by that time, someone is here to bail him out, even if it's just a support.
Yeah, and when we're thinking about the team fights as well, we try to build a comp around it, having 3 big tanks and having a hyper carry AD carry. But Ezreal, Jinx, which one do you want in your team for these big team fights late into the game? 100% it has to be that Jinx, and maybe a different AD carry here could have maybe helped Nativz find that win, or even with the Tristana in the mid lane, which did have a pretty good time. We had no side lane threat. We had nothing except for team fighting in our arsenal, and we're always going to get outplayed. It was really difficult from then on.
Yeah, once you let it run so long, it's also like I feel like we end up saying the same sorts of things where it's just small, tiny moments where a rocket is slightly mistimed, or a Lilia is locked down slightly longer, and then you have an Ocean Soul, or then you have a Baron. That becomes the classic butterfly effect, and yet we drop once more.
Sandbag, I did even remember that the Jinx Rock is the reason we didn't have Soul at all. If we had that Soul, that last team fight's won, just guaranteed. because Soul on a massive bruisery tank, you know, is heaven. You don't die, you always kill everything, so a very close game, but just not enough in the end.
Yep. Unfortunately, we are going to be hearing from Dem in just a second, but foes, we went into this saying games get more valuable, so where does that leave us?
Well, that leaves us in a very difficult point.
Yep. Unfortunately. Welcome, sir. First thoughts and feelings after watching that one come down to a couple moments.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to lose like that, right? Considering even just here the last fight, it felt like we were about to kind of just roll them over, right? Considering we got a free pick on the Corgi as well, and then even before the Drake, we are kind of chunking out the Rill and the Gragas. But I was just discussing this with the team as well, and I think we're kind of happy to just basically take the Dragon, right, and then reset and look for a better fight. But I think the general theme for why this game kind of went wrong was that we were a bit too passive overall, right? Like, sure, we have champions that scale well, and like we don't really mind too much. Like, you could see how much damage the Tristana was doing on 4 items, but I think we're a bit too slow, I guess, when it came to you know, punishing the Lilia in the early game, for example, right? Or I even think the trait that Painful got on mid lane, burning the Corgi flash, could probably been utilized better, because suddenly Corgi has, sure, he has no flash and no TP in mid lane, right? But I feel like we kind of overcommitted to trying and get that kill, and it just made it so that the lead that Painful had built was kind of gone already again, right? So I felt, despite having good champions to kind of start the fight, we were just a bit too hesitant. Which, I don't know, I sit with a weird feeling after this game, because at one hand, I was pretty happy with how the guys were playing. I feel like we had some good map movements, trading tower as well and stuff. Like, we got most of the objectives. I mean, if Jinx hadn't stolen that dragon as well, we would have gotten the soul basically for free, right? Or we would have denied them the Baron, one of the two. So yeah, it's just a bit too passive, a couple of mistakes, and that just end up costing the game, because DMG are very happy to basically just sit back and wait for the enemy team to mess up and then try to be the outscaling factor, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's like the outscaling factor was definitely on their side. With that Lilia coming through after you've already put 3 tanks and showing them that, of course, you have the AD carry with a Jinx compared to an Ezreal. Always in a late game team fight, if Jinx has the perfect positioning, we'll just pump out more damage. And I would say I would be pretty happy if I was you with this game, because yes, there were mistakes that came through, but like 2 or 3 different times, if you didn't get unlucky or played slightly differently, I feel like this team could have easily won, like you said, around maybe finding the pick onto the Baron and getting it yourself, Jinx Rocket not landing. So now going through being 2-5 and coming to the later half of the season, is there anything you're trying to change about the team? Because I feel like now you guys are starting to find the path late into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think today was a good show of the, I guess, the first change that we decided to try and make, right? Which is to swap in Goldenpenny here, basically just to give us a bit more flexibility, for example, in the AD carry role, but also just try and change up the team atmosphere a little bit, considering obviously, sure, 2 and 4 isn't necessarily the worst goal, but I think we still had higher expectation of ourselves, and I mean, we still do. We, even after this, I mean, we all agreed we should have won that game, right? It's like, sure, the Lilia is problematic, but we should have won this game against DMG, and I kind of sit back with the same feeling as I did after our first game against Nord, right? Where it's like, we kind of had all the tools, and then we mis-execute one fight, and it just, yeah, it goes bad, because we're a little too passive throughout the game. So yeah, I mean, the obvious answer would just be, okay, we need to think about, okay, how do we make sure that we're more proactive going into tomorrow in the rematch against Nord? And then we kind of just take it from there, right? Like, I don't think there's a reason to be like fully demotivated from this loss, right? Even though it's not fun to lose.
No, not fun to lose, but like you said, not completely shattering, right? So kind of looking forward, and a new player have you? I guess the final thing is that you touched on team atmosphere changing a little bit with the new member. Have you did you feel a shift, or is it just too early days with the new members?
No, I think we already kind of can feel a bit of a shift, even though Penny just came in this weekend, basically, right? Positive thing is that Penny already has like decent relationships with multiple of the other players. Theo even played with him beforehand in France, so they kind of already had some innate synergy there. But I think Penny also showed it today. Obviously, you guys can't see that on broadcast, right? But he's very vocal about his needs, and I think he has a very good. He's also pretty good at like supporting the whole conversation around how we move around the map and stuff. And I think for today, right, it basically just came down to our composition was kind of happy to scale, right? Like if you lock that in and you're playing even in solo queue, right? You're like, okay, sure. I mean, eventually we're probably gonna win, right? Because we have like Tristana Israel and 2 really OP tanks in Skarner and Sejuani. But I think we just ran into kind of the wall of, okay, maybe we needed a bit more tools to kind of start the fights ourselves, because sure, we have the Sejuani, we have the Leonald, we even have potentially a Skarner flank, right? But we're also running into like Gragas and Lilia, right? They can just disengage kind of easily, unless we get onto the Lilia as the first person, right? I even think the game was about to swing really crazily when we were hitting the tier 2 mid. If it wasn't for them, I think DMG did a good job with, like, for example, their boots purchases this game. Lilia getting the mercs so that she couldn't really get locked down as easily. Corki getting that early tab bias to kind of delay the damage potential as well. So yeah, I mean, DMG played well. Just sucks that we couldn't bring it home.
You take every step up to it, but can't quite get across the line. Lots of takeaways, lots to learn, and tape to watch. So thank you very much for joining us. That is gonna do it for us, though. So thank you very much, Dem. Zath, closing thoughts before we wrap this one up.
Hey, I'm positive. You know what? I know we lost. I know we're meant to be sad. I've seen enough of, natively. I just want them to be good. And I feel like with Dem here, with the team here, with Penny coming in, we got this, all right? Because, yes, mistakes happen. Yes, things going to be played better. But overall, positive changes, positives coming through. And I feel like give us a couple more weeks. We're not fully out of the playoff contention just yet, because we could have that ruddy run that there was last split where, okay, we're not bad, but like we're not doing well. We win a game and we're like, okay, we win one more, okay, but this was just one step back. But 2 steps forwards next game, another win, hopefully, and then we can get ourselves ready for those playoffs.
Yep, absolutely right. The conversation seems to be increasing. The map movements, as it was touched on, seems like it's getting up to scratch. So lots of things to look forward to, but that is going to do it for us today. Thank you very much for joining us. Worth noting, the Collegiate Esports Series, any current staff, any alumni, right, signups still open, making sure that we are continuing that trend of, the talent coming up so far in all games, not just League, as well as thank you to Oxen, our kit partners, and Allotment for supporting us. That's going to do it for us. I have been Sandbag. This has been Zathdos. Heltic behind the screens making it happen. Have a great rest of your evening, guys. Take care.